brake vans are burdened with one of the biggest responsibilities on the railway. With how notorious trucks can be, especially on Sodor, a brake van is a valuable safety net for the engines on a heavy train. Placing such a large amount of responsibility on them makes them trustworthy friends on the island. All the same, however, not everyone is capable of handling such pressure, so only certain brake vans are reserved for long trains. A new brake van arrived at Vickerstown, to which Diesel would have the pleasure of meeting of. Diesel's loud voice rattled the newcomer, but he was able to send a glance towards them. Diesel coupled Bruno up to the back of a long mixed goods, as all the while the brake van remained anxiously quiet. Just then, Sir Richard Topham Hatt arrived in his car, as Diesel began pulling Bruno out of Vickerstown. Sir Richard watched with concern as Diesel was pulling away with his train and Bruno in tow. Meanwhile, Diesel and Bruno were making steady progress along the main line. Bruno was trying to stay focused, but Diesel was in a hurry. And the trucks giggled in their silly ways. Diesel bumped his train roughly, causing the trucks to grunt and groan. Bruno closed his eyes before looking at his surroundings, and he began to look slightly dizzy, and the trucks were cross. The coal truck in the front configured a scheme as he looked back at the spotless red and yellow paint of the trailing brake van. Bruno heard the trucks noisily scheming behind him, and throughout the journey tried calling out to Diesel, but he found it hard to speak. But Bruno wasn't so sure. Presently, they reached Gordon's Hill. Bruno's guard chuckled as he called out to Diesel. But the trucks had other plans. Diesel lurched over the crescent and suddenly started sliding down the hill, rapidly descending on the other side. Diesel waited for Bruno to start braking, but unaware to him, Bruno was starting to freak out, and his guard found his brakes stiff to apply. The front trucks looked back to see the last trucks applying their brakes. They slid into Crosby and stopped, just almost overshooting the platform. Diesel was speechless until he got angry. Bruno started to feel tears begin to swell up in his eyes. As indeed he did. Diesel went silent as Bruno closed his eyes. Of course, Sir Richard had been angry before, but never did Diesel hear so much passion in one of his controller's reprimands. The air finally went cold as Diesel and Bruno waited for Sir Richard's response. They held their breath, the tremble of frustration evident as Sir Richard finally spoke. Shaken and confused, Diesel laughed slowly. After he left, Sir Richard spoke to Bruno. Bruno was placed at Knapford Sheds for the rest of the day, and as he sat, his eyes never strayed from his buffers. He felt shaken and upset after what just happened. As the time went by, he saw an engine puffing down to him. It was Ivor. But Ivor didn't see the funny side of it. Bruno looked down at his buffers once more as Ivor continued. Bruno's eyes widened in shock. Ivor just smiled. With Bruno and his guard's permission, Ivor coupled up to the brake van and they set off. As they went along the main line, Bruno felt much more at ease. Without the pressure of a heavy train being burned behind him, he could see what the main line had to offer. But then, they approached the bottom of Gordon's Hill. Suddenly, Ivor lurched forward, and Bruno yelped as he went up to the gradient. Bruno felt a little queasy, but he noticed something. Bruno stopped and thought about Ivor's words with a smile on his face. Today, he had not only found a new friend, but a new respect for himself. Bruno explained his idea to Edward and his driver. Then Ivor's driver spoke to Sir Richard, with arrangements were put in place. Bruno now works as Ivor's dedicated brake van on the Little Western, helping him with goods trains on the branch line. He is now friends with everyone, especially Diesel, who apologised to the brake van for his harsh actions. While Bruno finds the work difficult, Ivor remembers to be patient with him. Bruno couldn't be happier, knowing he was now a part of Sir Topham Hatt's railway.